Now that we've declared the entry and output and the mode, we're going to go into the actual packing of our modules into this bundler. This is going to be the meat and the potatoes of our backpack. So let's set a modules property, which is going to look like an object. And within our modules, we need to set some rules. This rules property is going to be an array, and each rule is going to be an object. So let's set our first rule, and let's say we want to add some CSS to our bundler. We want to throw some CSS into our API or application add-on. And to do that, we got to go in let's go to our source, put in a new file called styles.css. With this styles.css, I want to import it into my bridge. So I'm going to import this. Let's put it on top. Import the styles.css file. And in my styles.css, let's set, say, body to background of red. So what we're doing is taking the styles file, importing it into the bridge index.js. You can import it to either of them, and it should come out into our main.bundle.js file. Now, I believe this is not going to work properly just because we don't have any rules set for the styles file. We don't have a styles loader, and so therefore we can't load it into our bridge. So if we were to run this Webpack without configuring the rule, we should receive an error on the styles. Module parse failed. You may need an appropriate loader to handle this file type. Currently, no loaders are configured to process this file, so it can't even read the body.background red that we set. Therefore, let's set some rules and let's test for the file or many files that represent a regex of .css. This can be CSS, it can be both CSS or SCSS or SAS, but for now we're going to use CSS. And the next thing we'll do here after test is we're going to exclude anything within node modules. And finally, we're going to use something after this test. We're going to initialize our style loader and the CSS loader. Now the processing, the placement of these loaders does matter because they are read as if they were pushed out of this array. So you're going to push CSS loader first to be read, and then you have the styles loader. So once we have this rule set, we have our loader set. We're excluding any CSS in node modules because we are not using that. And in order for all this to work, we got to test true for a .css file within the source folder, or sorry, within the indexed bridge. Once that is read, we can run the build. And we receive an error, invalid configuration object. Oh, it's not modules, it's module. Let's rerun the build. And it looks like it read everything perfectly. We can see the receipt on this reading here, or this build, where if we find styles, source styles.css has been built and code generated, which means code's been generated or bundled into the main.bundle.js. and see how the format looks a lot different compared to the last format. This is what it used to look like, and this is what it looks like now. And this is the power of the styles and CSS loaders to bundle into your backpack. Once that's bundled, it gets thrown at the client. Therefore, the client or the index.html file, which we will see in the next video, we can link all this just through the script, and it should read the styles because we are importing it through our index.js. And this is the power of your modules and how to test.